Does it just tell me when they're in?
Yeah, yeah, it
Okay.
will. Good morning, everyone. It is July 20th today, and I am excited to bring something to you, a concept that was introduced to me 4 years ago that really helped me with my mindset and helped me understand what actually happens in our brains and why sometimes we're successful and sometimes we're not. So, who would like to know the secret behind staying on the success track and not derailing yourself? Yeah, Jordan, Val, amazing. Gail, amazing. Okay. So, Um, thanks to ChatGPT, I have like an amazing image to share with you guys as well. So you're going to have a visual to take away from this also. So, what I am talking about today is the belief cycle. Has anyone ever plugged into any trainings where you learned about the belief cycle? Because we often think it starts with belief. And belief is important for success, absolutely, because without belief, we don't take action, right? But it starts before that. So we're going to talk about the belief cycle. Um, so here's a question I have to ask you to start us off is, have you ever noticed two people can be given the exact same opportunity? And one person will see possibility while the other sees no, no. Like, have you ever offered the business to someone and they're like, nope, that doesn't work. And then you offer it to the next person, they're like, that sounds like a dream job, right? It starts in the mind and what you're thinking, right? What you're thinking about. So, um, the person who doesn't believe it's going to work, do you think they're going to take action? Right? The other's that one's gonna hesitate, right? They're gonna be like, I don't know, I don't know. So a lot of people think it's because one person is more skills or is talented or smarter or you got lucky. Have you ever heard people say that only lucky people are successful, right? You got all the breaks. You have the privilege, right? Those sorts of words. I don't believe that's true at all. I believe opportunity is there for everyone. Yes, it takes skills. Yes, it takes action, but oftentimes people operate on two different cycles based on the patterns of their life and what they've been shown because they just don't know how to operate any differently. So, um, I'm going to show you the picture in a minute, but I want to kind of just talk through it first. So if you're able to take notes, grab a paper and pen. If not, this is recorded and you're going to get the image. So you'll get the gist of it. So the battle begins in your mind. Most people think that success starts with action. So I don't believe it starts with action because you'll never take action if there isn't a couple of things in place first. So, of course, I'm going to bring some scripture to this because really that just helps me ground it. So, if you are a person who loves following along with that, it comes from Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So, the transformation starts in your mind, and everything actually begins with a thought, not a belief. So the thought might be, I could do that, or the thought can be the opposite, I could never do that. Every single day, we're thinking of thousands of thoughts. You know that that's actually been studied, and it's the wildest number how many thoughts go through our mind in a day. I can't even remember, but I looked it up once and it was an insane amount of thoughts we have running through our mind every minute. It's like 50 per minute or something like that. It's insane. And some we just ignore and others we listen to, right? So because we're always thinking, we have to decide which thoughts we are agreeing with, and we often see things through a filter. That filter is the worldview that we decided to adopt at some point in time in our life, whether it was when we were young, when we were impressionable, or something really big happens midway through our life, which can imprint on us and have us thinking like seeing the world through a certain lens, right? And the thoughts you repeatedly think is actually what becomes your belief. But the cool thing is the thoughts are something we can control. We have to learn to become aware of the thoughts and pause long enough to decide which ones we want to agree with and which ones we want to throw out and disregard. And it can be as simple as saying, no, that's not true. And sometimes like you have to say it out loud because you might not believe it yet. And so one of the thoughts that as I first started in this industry 16 years ago, one of the thoughts that I chose to agree with is that I'm destined for greatness. And I chose to every morning wake up with that thought. And now it's just like in the back of um my operating system in my brain. I don't know what that looks like, but it's there. And it's become part of what I've chosen to be my identity is I'm destined for greatness. I don't get to choose necessarily what that looks like, but I believe that everyone is destined for greatness. It's written in your DNA. So first it starts with thoughts, and then those thoughts lead to our emotions. Now, what we've learned before when we've trained on like business activity is you've probably heard this before. Facts tell, stories sell because stories create emotion and we act on emotion. And so our thoughts will create an emotion, but you have to choose your thoughts so that the result of the emotion is what you want it to be also. Because the emotion will also feed into the belief. And when you have belief and emotions that are high, you will act. And the action is what creates the results. So, um, if you wake up and continuously tell yourself you're behind, you're failing, nobody wants what I have, I always mess up, you're going to feel discouraged, anxious, afraid. Now flip that script and say, I can learn it. I don't have to be perfect. I am equipped. I can help one person today. It's going to lead to completely different emotions. Would you agree? Completely different emotions. And your emotions don't appear out of nowhere. Most of them follow the thoughts that you've been feeding it. Have you ever felt like you've gone into like a spiral of negative thinking and it's really hard to get yourself out of it? I used to live in that vortex. You would never know it today, hearing me speak, talking to me, being around me. But I literally lived in that vortex for the majority of my childhood and my teenage years. I lived in it, I fed into it. It was this industry that taught me I didn't need to live there. And if that's all I ever got out of it, it's been worth it because it changes your level of peace that you live with. It changes the quality of life you live because you wake up in a different space and how you show up in every area of life, right? And then you begin to attract that in because those kinds, like living in that space is a lot more magnetic. Like, when you are finding someone online and they are just like, they're fun to listen to, they're excited about life, or they're like, they don't even, it doesn't even have to be that they're passionate about something that you're passionate about. Just a passionate person is magnetic. Do you agree? Like I don't even like, there's certain things that I would never really do myself, but I can't help but watch when someone's passionate about it because they're more likely to excel at it also, right? When you're passionate about something, you will excel at it. So be passionate about your learning and development. Be passionate about what you have your hands on. I mean, every day that we share with someone these products, we see another result, right? We all believe in the products. That's not a question. We've all had an experience. But sometimes we get stuck in our head because of the fear of how others might respond. So your emotions will become your beliefs, and this is where the cycle can become dangerous because you can spin one way or you can spin the other way. Because your emotions will start to feel like truth, but emotions are just a fleeting feeling. They never stick. Like even like excitement wanes down, sadness goes away. Like all of the emotions, they just flow through our body. And fear can feel like truth. Sometimes we can spiral thinking like that something is absolutely going to happen that's negative. Have you ever felt like you could actually make something happen if you just believe it hard enough? It goes both ways, so you might as well believe that good things are coming. Because I do believe that we can we can think about something bad happening and we can make it happen. And it's not because like we're magical wizards or anything like that, but because we will take actions to affirm that belief. Our brain is set up to affirm whatever belief we have. So you better take control of that belief because your actions, um, yeah, yeah, Cassandra. Yeah, like we can see things being spoken into existence. And so sometimes we might get trapped in this, like, oh my gosh, the world is so crappy. And there's some crappy things going on in the world. There's no denying that. But I feel like you can call it into existence in your own vortex. And so stick to the things that you can control. And you can control your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And we can actually collectively change the world by staying in that cycle. Because we will invite people into this space where they can then too jump on board with creating a better world where people understand how powerful their thoughts are. That's why it's so important to really, when you're on social media or whatever you're looking at, to be conscious of what you're feeding into your subconscious mind. Movies you watch, music you listen to, hanging out, that's right, Helen, hanging out with people, certain people. There's certain people in my life that I limit how much time I spend around them. Like if they're family, I'm not telling you to cut your family off, just like you don't have to spend every waking moment with them. You can set boundaries. And I've had to set boundaries because sometimes I'm like, man, I just like feel crappy after I'm around that. I feel drained. I feel like I need a nap, and I'm not a napper. If you feel like you need a nap after you've hung out with a certain person, don't spend too much time with them. It's just not worth it, right? Because some people just want to live in that space. They're not ready to climb out of it. Um, okay. So, um, if you're fearing something, fear can become like the emotion of fear can become maybe I really can't do this. Have you ever had that thought? I have. I absolutely have. So many times in the past 16 years. So many times. That's when it's really good to have a mentor and say, I need a pep talk. I need to climb out of this. It's okay to ask for help when you are in that place. Just go to the right person for the help. Right? Again, be aware of who are the people in your life that you can go to that help bring you back out of that space. Don't go backwards to the people who live in that space and they're like, I told you it doesn't work. Right? You want that belief to come back because discouragement can become maybe this isn't for me. Where on the contrary, hope can become I think I can do it. There's a way. Let me find a solution to the struggle I'm having, right? And then when you start taking action, confidence becomes I know I can do this. I've seen proof of it. I've had success before, even if it's a little, I've had success before. So the thoughts you rehearse, which it sounds silly to say like rehearsing thoughts, but really, if you're repeating those thoughts over and over, you're rehearsing them. And then your brain's going to look for affirmation of those beliefs. So we can also have the belief, but if we don't take the action, there's fallout to that too. Do you see that pattern? You're like, you go to a training and you're like, I believe I'm going to do it. I'm going to take action this time. But then the action doesn't follow, and then the belief starts to dwindle again, and then the action slows down. You see that pattern? So then I was reading, I've been doing a Bible study on James. And so chapter 2, verse 17 says, faith without works is dead. You can have faith this business is going to work, but if you don't take action, it will never come to be, right? Because the you have to produce the action in order to see it change. You can truly believe that exercise changes lives, but if you don't train, how many lives will it change? Right? We can buy that gym membership, but if we don't show up consistently and do the work, nothing happens. Same with if we can believe that we can help people with what we have to offer, but if you don't reach out to people, it won't happen. So then you have to kind of question, do I truly believe that I can help people? Is there something in my operating system, my subconscious mind? Is there something still running and playing in there that is not quite allowing me to have full belief? Because if you're not taking action, you want to assess your belief level. And maybe your belief level isn't there because there's something playing in the background that's causing the belief to lower. Are you saying I reached out to so many people and I haven't gotten a yes in so long? So I just don't know if I really believe this is possible. I've been taking action. I've been having all these conversations. I've done all the training. I've been showing up. When's it going to actually happen? What am I doing wrong? Right? Those things can happen and then it can seep that disbelief, even though you kind of want to believe, but you're not. Like sometimes it's I want to believe, but I don't fully believe. Do you feel that? I really want to believe, but is it really going to happen for me? Because our actions will always reveal. Oh, Cassandra. No, really, this is like just taking a reflective look into my own self too, and how I operate and what actions that, I need to be taking always too, right? So our actions reveal, write this down. Our actions reveal what we actually believe. So there might need to be some work done to shift your beliefs. Not what we say we believe, but what we actually believe. So if you've ever heard someone say, I really do believe this business works, but then they never ever invite even one person, do they actually believe? So sometimes we're like, I want to take the action. I don't even know what's holding me back. I feel stuck. I feel frozen. And that can come down to a belief. Ooh, I want to see what you're saying there. Sales is new to you, and you've always told yourself you wouldn't be good at it. And so that's a belief you have running in your operating system. Absolutely. And maybe, and you know what? That oftentimes we will hear people say, I'm no good at sales. I'm not comfortable with sales. And it's because they have either A, you've had a bad experience in sales. Someone tried to sell you something, or maybe it can be just what you heard over time. Like thinking about the like icky car salesman, used car salesman, right? And I use car sales as an example because it can be a dirty industry. It doesn't have to be, but some organizations operate less ethically, we'll just say. And that can happen in any sales world. But we get to choose how we show up so we can do it differently. We get to choose to show up with being service minded. How can I help this person? How can I help them create more income? How can I help them with their health? How can I help them save money on travel? So when you really focus on like sales gets a bad rap, but sales is nothing but providing a solution for a person. Now I have a thing posted on my fridge in my kitchen that I had a group over yesterday. Cassandra, you were here. Um, Christine was here. I pulled this. this off my fridge, and it literally says, oh my gosh, now I can't remember what it says word for word. I feel like I might want to go grab it, but it's my income is a direct reflection of how many people I've helped. So when I think about sales, that's my operating system. If I want my income to grow, I need to go find more people to help. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about our business because it could be someone I'm helping with their health, someone I'm helping create a paycheck, right? And so helping our team helps us create that like a bigger impact in the world. And it's about the impact that you make through sales. The most successful people in sales have helped the most people. That's it. They got real good at taking themselves out of the equation. Because when we're able to take ourselves out of the equation, it takes the ick out because you're not thinking about yourself. So one time I was at this training and she had a flashlight in her hand. And she said, every time I hear the words, I'm no good at sales, it's because the flashlight's shining on the wrong person. So if you're operating with the operating system of that, you're actually more worried about what someone might think of you and your intentions. You care more about yourself and how you feel than you do for what you might be able to help the other person with. So it's actually a really selfish thing. It's a selfish position to have to not share it with someone else. This helped me, like the collagen helped me get rid of 25 years of chronic back pain. Why the heck would I not want everybody else to feel the exact same way? I don't care. I and really like shift the way you look at things because I walk around in a store and I can see how much junk people buy that serves them nothing. It's not providing health for them. It's not it's not a necessity. So everyone in my mind, everyone can afford our collagen. Because maybe you're kind of operating a little bit of like, well, it's kind of expensive. I don't know if they can afford it. Trust me, everyone can afford it. It means they're going to shift their dollars that they're spending over here on something that's less of a priority onto their health. Maybe you need to help shift their mindset around that. If you're open to me helping you budget for it, we could do that. And I know that money is a tricky thing. Not everyone's going to be open to sharing. But if they're being honest with themselves, they can find the money. Maybe they can't afford to be on every product. That's a legit thing. But we also can show them how to make money so they can. Right? So I want to address what you just said, Alan. So you have a fear of people you talk to not believing my story. So here's what I've learned. They believe my story, but they don't necessarily believe it will become their story. Because has that anyone ever said out loud to you or like on their social media, I've tried everything. I'm like, you've never tried my nutrition program. You've never tried my collagen. So no, you haven't tried everything. It's the same thing when you hear someone say, I've talked to everyone. Okay, let's have a discussion about who's everyone. Well, I talked to 5 people today. Okay, that's not everyone. All right. That goes back to the limiting belief, and it's like you're programming yourself to fail. So they might not believe your story. That's okay. Show them more stories. Show them more stories. At some point in time, they try five other things that don't work. They're like, I've I'm ready. Trust me, they do. Just keep talking to them. Because I have that same thing happen to me in my business too, where I'll be sending the links. Oh, it's here. Try this. Like, I'm really serious. This will help you. They're either going to take it or they're not, but usually eventually they do because they get tired of trying all the other things that aren't working. And I'm over here going, I just deadlifted 250 pounds. I couldn't even lift an empty bar 4 years ago. Tell me my products don't work, right? Like, I could not do what I do without, which then also goes back to, are you being a product of the product? Are you using the products consistently? Are you working to create better health in your body? Eating better, sleeping better, making sure you're getting your water in. Like, what are you doing to feed your health? Because when you shift your health, you no longer have to worry about whether or not they believe you because you're going to show up and they're just going to see it. They're going to feel it. You're going to be operating on a different level. So sometimes it takes taking the action first so people, because some people will watch you. So if you're brand new, they're watching. Some people are actually counting on you to fail so they can be like, yep, I told you it doesn't work. Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. When I first got started in this industry, I was so excited. I was so excited. I didn't even know why I was excited. I was just excited. And a trip was announced, just like the one we're working on right now that all of you still have time to earn. A trip was announced, and I was like, I'm going to earn that trip. That sounds fantastic. Because at the time, the trip was to Disneyland, and there's no way I could have afforded to take my children to Disneyland. And I was like, man, I can earn a trip just by taking these actions. I didn't even know what I was doing. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know, but all of the actions that I had to do to collect points built my business. So, in the process of earning a trip, I built my business. I wasn't even trying to build the business. I just wanted to earn the trip because I couldn't afford to take my children to Disneyland. And I wanted to take my children to Disneyland. And I started getting excited and telling people about it. I told my mom, I told my sister. And you know what they said? Oh, it's not going to happen. I told my husband. He hates when I tell this story. You know what he said to me? They don't make those things easy. They don't make those things easy, and I just don't want to see you get disappointed. Oh, that lit a fire. That lit a fire because I was like, I will prove you all wrong. So every time you have someone feeding disbelief into you, use it as fuel to the fire to prove them wrong. Bring out your little rebellious teenager self. You'll have it. Bring that rebellious teenager out and say, I am going to prove you wrong, and then do it. Have that fuel your fire. So here's what happened. I earned that trip and every single trip that's ever been offered since then, 16 years later. We've been on over 20 trips. He sure likes the trips now. He never didn't have belief that I would do it ever again. He never said discouraging words about anything. He's only been an encourager since that. Just, and he was still encouraging me through it. Sometimes people say things without intention. He wasn't trying to sabotage me. He was doing it from love. He didn't want to see me get disappointed. But what he did is he put his beliefs on me. And you might have people in your life putting their beliefs on you, saying it doesn't really work. It's too expensive. It's this, it's that. You're wasting your time. You're a bad mom. Whatever. Like people are going to push their beliefs on you, but you are the only one that gets to decide what you believe. So you get to decide what you want to believe so that you can produce what you want to produce. I'm reading what you said here, Jordan. That doesn't sound like a good idea. They won't pay for you to get a Jeep because no company does that. It's a scam. Well, let me tell you, 3.5 years later, they've paid me over $30,000 for my Jeep. In 2 more years, they're going to have paid for the whole complete Jeep itself. And then they'll keep paying me to drive that same Jeep that's paid off, that they paid off. So then sometimes, yeah, Christine just said she's been paid out approximately $20,000. And she didn't go out and buy a Jeep. She had a Jeep. I went to her and I said, "Hey, let's get your Jeep paid for." She's like, "Okay." Right? So, yeah, and Cassandra, they're paying for yours too. So, Jordan, you get to sit there and say, "Well, I don't think that, you might think it's a scam, but I've got a ton of friends driving a Jeep and they're getting a paycheck for it every single month." So, you might think it's a scam because your boss doesn't pay you, but the business I partnered with, it's actually a thing. I work my business, I pull my end of the deal, they pay me. It's no different than showing up to a job. You show up to a job, they pay you whatever the agreement is. Yes, Cassandra, good point. On your website, you have a Jeep tab. So there's like a corporate write up right there on that tab. You can send them and be like, "Well, it's legit. Here it is. You want to read about it? This is the program. It's right here. All the fine print's there for you to read." That's a good point. So what you want to do is if you are struggling with your belief, look for evidence to affirm the belief you want to have. And then repeat that over and over and over in your mind until it feeds into your operating system. Okay, so now we've talked a lot about that. So once we start having that core belief system where now we're actually pushing and taking action consistently, guess what happens after the action? Results. And as results begin to happen, it reinforces that cycle. And then that cycle becomes normal for us. That cycle becomes normal for us. And though we have to also remember that action doesn't always produce result equally. It's not immediate. What we do in the next 30 days, we will see results in 90 days. So if you are taking action for 30 days and you're like, it didn't work, and then you kind of stop taking as much action the next month, guess what will happen 90 days from now? You won't actually see those results that you tried to build. You have to be consistent for 90 days, and the amount of work you do consistently will determine how much turns around for you in the 90 days. And that's not to say like the conversations you have today are going to sprout into like those seeds you plant today are not all going to sprout in 90 days. Some take years. I just had one finally sprout after 3.5 years. 3.5 years of her watching watching my success, watching me, my consistency, watching my belief. She had to lean into my belief to build her belief, and it took 3 years to build that belief before she took action. I didn't push her. I just kept showing up. Just kept showing up, telling the stories. Oh my gosh, you got to hear the story. I shared the collagen with someone and listen to her story. Posting on my social media and continuing to grow my network. So everywhere I go, I'm showing up the same way I show up here, online, or in person. I show up in the gym. I got people at the gym finding me. I'm not even sending, they're like, oh, I started following you. I'm like, awesome. I didn't even have to share my profile. They're all starting to follow me. It's amazing, right? Eventually, they're going to ask the questions because I'm posting regularly. I'm posting people's results. I'm posting what I'm doing. Then they eventually want it. If you don't want to be the pushy person, just really show up consistently and be the encourager. And then people are gravitating to you, right? Okay. So I'm going to talk just very shortly about the downward cycle because the downward cycle creates what you don't want. So we're only going to spend a moment here. So if you aren't circling the right direction, what can happen is you can feed into the disbelief or low belief, which creates low action. And how much results happen in low action? Nothing. And what will no results feed into as far as your thoughts and your belief system? It's going to be low emotion. And then you start in that pattern of thinking, right? So we don't want to reinforce the negative belief. We need to stop it, take control of our thoughts so that our emotions can shift, so that we can shift into beliefs, so that we can take action. And sometimes it's just taking the smallest of actions to produce one small result to build the belief. It doesn't have to be massive action. Massive action will result in higher results, but sometimes just to like stop the spinning wheel and get it to go the other direction, we just need to make a goal of actionable things that we know we will do that can create a result. So maybe that's just a baby result, and you're like, I'm going to talk to one new person this week. And then you do it, and you're like, huh, I can do this thing. I can do this thing. I'm going to make one new friend on social media, and I'm going to reach out and I'm going to share about myself and I'm going to ask them about themselves. I'm going to post once a day this week about my experience with this business. It might be my experience on the community, my experience on the products, my experience at an event, my experience with a mentor. Just how is it impacting your life? Share about it. Are you sharing about that regularly? Do you feel like you're on repeat sometimes with that stuff? Well, if you're constantly building your network, you have to be on repeat because they don't know who you are. You got to keep sharing your story. What are other lessons you've learned in life that you can share, that you can show up and add value to other people's lives? Sometimes we don't think that we have any value to share. Have you ever thought like, is it really important what I have to share? Yeah, Wanda. I know. I battle with that too. I'm like, don't everybody already know this? Like, drink your water. Like, how many times do I got to tell people drink their water? And then someone's like, oh, that was really helpful. And I'm like, all right. There's still people that don't know they have to drink water. Sometimes we need to be reminded because the circles of people we're circling in are not doing the healthy habits, right? So, what have you learned? What have you shifted in your life that can, you've learned lessons that you can keep posting about. Okay. Are you ready to see the image? Let me share it. I'm going to share it here for you. This is what ChatGPT helped me create, the belief cycle. So you can see the upward cycle. Your thoughts turn into your emotions, turn into your belief patterns, which then control your actions, which then gives you results. Yay, you're a champion. You got results. So you're excited. So those produce thoughts like I can do it. And then you get excited and that builds into your belief. And then you take more action and you get more results. And you're like, yeah, so this can actually start spinning faster and faster. And then you will create more and more actions. Where here, if we're like, I don't know if this works, that's going to create like really low vibrational thoughts and emotions, which is going to lower your belief in your subconscious. And then you're going to freeze and not take action. And then you're going to get no results. And that affirms the thought that this maybe doesn't work. And then you can actually circle this. And then you start distancing yourself and you get busy and distracted. And you just say, oh, I've just been busy. Have you ever caught yourself saying, oh, I've just been busy? But truly, sometimes that's like a form of self-sabotage. Have you ever thought about that? That sometimes we keep ourselves busy as a form of self-sabotage because we are avoiding the thing we should be doing. I think we do that with everything. Like there's always something that can creep in. There's always something that can creep in that we're like, "Oh, I'm just busy. I got a lot of laundry to do." Right? But what could you be doing while you're doing the laundry? You could be listening to a training, right? Because then you're not gonna, I mean, if you are someone with a household that has lots of laundry to do, man, you have no excuse to not have those trainings up to date. You know how many books you could read if you're doing a lot of laundry in a week, right? Or if you have to drive around, maybe you're driving kids around all over the place. You're like Uber mom. Man, sometimes I love when I gotta drive a lot because I get all I get caught up on all my audiobooks. I had so much driving this week. I listened to almost two full audiobooks. They were very engaging. I was very enthralled by them. And now I'm telling everyone about the books. But they were not necessarily personal development books this time, but very good. Yeah, they could be, I suppose. Um, Anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys with one more thing here. I'm gonna leave you with one more just piece of scripture. Um, Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. Take captive of every thought. Is this just not what we've been talking about this whole hour? Take captive of every thought. Why? Because it controls what you will do next. Right. I'm going to share this recording into Legacy Builder site and I'll post this in the team chats, this belief cycle, so that you have it. And yeah, we'll stop there. But I would love to open up the floor to anyone who has any words or questions or anything that you want to share before we close the call. Yes, Wanda.
Okay, this was so good because it just went right along with my devotions this morning. So let me grab the thought. So the you probably know this, but I didn't. The anterior
Oh, you muted again, Wanda.
Okay, so it's a part in your brain. I can't say it. The anterior midingulate cortex. I don't know. But what it is it's a big term for that's where our mind stores that we can do things. And when we do take action, it actually grows.
Oh, okay.
So the gist of it was you can control um, as opposed to not doing anything when you do the things that you put on your list that you really don't want to do and you do them, it's growing
Yes.
and it's growing. So the more action that we take, the more of that space in our brain is growing and the more we will be able to take. And
Yes.
I thought that was really cool.
I love
So,
that. Thank you for sharing that. It's true. Our capacity grows as we grow. And that could be looked at it from that standpoint too, right? A mother of one doesn't know how she could ever do two, and then she has a second and it grows, and a third and a fourth, and you might not be able to see that in the moment, but as you continue to grow your capacity, you grow. I don't know if that was a good example of that, but it popped into my head. I was like, remember having one, thinking, how could I possibly do two? And then I had two, and then I had three, and then I had four. Right? Anyone else? Cassandra, you look like you've got something to say. No? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, I hope this has been helpful for everyone in just shifting your mind and thinking about like be living in that really self-aware place of what your thoughts are and holding those thoughts captive. What are you choosing to agree with today? And if you don't want to agree with it, there's plenty of examples out there of like personal development books and stuff on like how to get like how to stomp that out. Some people will say, like, not today, Satan, right? Not today, Satan. Because those words and disbelief come in from some people believe it's coming in from the enemy. It's to sabotage your success and you stopping you from living out your purpose. And your greatest purpose is to impact people's lives in a positive way. Wow, I believe this is one of the best ways to impact people's lives in a bigger way. When I became a nutritionist, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to help people with their health. And you know what I discovered is I can help way more people through network marketing and a health product than I ever can through just the people that I can trade my time for money for. And that's when I really shifted my belief to like, wow, this is actually amazing because we can impact so many more lives. So if one of your core beliefs and missions is to impact people's lives, there's no better way to impact people's lives than through network marketing because you will meet more people and impact more people than you ever could any other way, in my opinion, for whatever that's worth, from what I've experienced, anyways. And sometimes you don't even know who you're impacting, especially when it comes to like posting on social media. You don't know who's actually following and listening and watching. I've had people reach out saying like I've been following you for a couple of years and I'm like, "What? I don't even recognize their name. I don't even know who they are." I'm like, "Wow, that's cool. That's amazing. Tell me more. Let's have a conversation." Right? So you never know who's watching and who you have the opportunity to impact in a positive way. So show up that way and you all have it in you to create success and impact every single place you go. The amount of impact is your choice. This is the amount of people you choose to put yourself in front of is going to be the level of impact you choose. So if you in your heart want to impact more people's lives, you just got to find more people to talk to. And there's like 4 billion people on social media. It's a handful there that you're meant to impact. And sometimes letting go of who shows up for you to serve. So every morning I say a prayer for God to show me who to serve today, and I just serve. My mission is to just show up and serve. I don't always get to choose who's in front of me to serve. And so just show up with that mindset of being open, because sometimes you're having all these conversations and you're like, no one's like converting. But then all of a sudden someone over here comes and you're like, oh, okay. Okay, here we are. That's a good reminder. You don't know. You don't always get to choose. Yes. Yes, Helen. All the negative people, just say, let them. That's not you. You get to choose how you want to show up. Okay, I thank you guys so much for sharing your time with me this morning. I love you all so much for being here and for who you are and for the impact that you have the ability to create. And we're all in this together, doing this together. And so lean on us as much as you need to. And also show up tonight at 7 o'clock to our team training. We've got a real good one lined up for you tonight, and we will see you on there and throughout the week at all our events. Okay, have a great week, everyone.